Hi, my name is Sean and I'm your presenter for the program. In the current PE syllabus, we teach games using the Games Concept approach, or commonly known as GCA. In GCA, we classify games under 3 games categories, namely netball, territorial, and striking fielding. In this program, we are going to share with you what the games in the netball games category are and some of their games concepts. We will also be touching on how other game forms can be modified into a net or wall game. Basically, netball type games are games in which an object, usually a ball or a shuttlecock, is played across a barrier, usually a net, placed at a predetermined height. The idea is to play an object in such a way that the opponent on the opposing court cannot return the object successfully. Some common examples of games in the net-wall games category are badminton, table tennis, tennis, and volleyball. Some fundamental questions need to be addressed so that our students can better perform and enjoy these games with understanding. They are how to create space for an attack, how to win a point, how to defend space, and how to defend against an attack. In creating space for attack, the main idea is to place the object in an area on the court that will force your opponent to move into a position that will leave space for your next shot. By doing so, you will gain an advantage over your opponent. In this segment, we will share with you how you can teach your students the 3 games concepts pertaining to the manipulation of opponent in his or her own court. They are moving the opponent up and down the court, moving the opponent to the left and right of the court, sending the object to open space and away from the opponent. To bring out these games concepts successfully, we can exaggerate the playing area and modify the rules. An example of an exaggerated playing area is the use of a long thin court to expose enough open spaces on the opponent's court. We restrict students to underarm throws only. Green is moving red up and down the court by sending the ball to the front and back of red's court. By doing so, she is attacking the open spaces of her opponent's court. By attacking the open spaces to the front and back of the opponent's court, students are in control of the game. Space can also be created by moving the opponent to the left and right of the court. To bring out this game's concept, we use a short and wide court instead. In this scenario, we can use a mini tennis racket and sponge ball to demonstrate the game's concept. And to highlight the point, the game's concepts can be taught with different objects and implements. Similar to the first scenario, green is attacking the open space left and right of red's court. Look who's in control and winning! Not me, but the third games concept that we will be touching on. This can be taught after students have understood the earlier 2 games concepts. Green is attacking all the available open spaces on red's court by applying the 2 concepts taught earlier. Remember, the main idea is to send the object to open spaces away from the opponent. In this way, students will gain an advantage over their opponent by controlling his or her movement on the court. Let's recap. Creating space for attack is to send an object into open space in the opponent's court to manipulate his or her movement, in the hope that space will be created for attack when the opponent cannot get to the object in good time to make a good return. The opponent cannot get to the object in time to return it, or the opponent may be physically exhausted by moving around the court. After students have learned how to create space for attack, we can move on to teach them how they can capitalize on the space created to win points in a game. The most effective way to win points is to attack any weak return shots that are high and near the net. However, in the event that the opportunity to launch a direct attack is not there, we will also teach our students how they can set up for an attack by learning the following 3 games concepts. Attacking any weak return shot that is high and near the net, setting up for an attack by sending the object fast and low to the back of the opponent's court, setting up for an attack by sending the object high for teammate to attack near the net in team games. As mentioned earlier, the most effective way to win points is to attack any weak return shots that are high and near the net. To allow our students discover this game's concept, we will use a long thin court that will expose enough open areas at the front of the court. We preset the condition that students can only throw the ball downwards across the net if they manage to catch any return balls above their heads. These are to simulate an attacking action in an actual game and to allow students to discover that it is actually easier to attack from the front of the court rather than from the back of it. Green is attacking red from both the front and back of his court. We can see that green's attack is more successful when it is launched from the front of the court near the net. After discovering for themselves that the most effective way to win points is to attack any weak return shots that are high and near the net, we can then go on to teach them how to create this advantageous situation. To do so, students can change the pace of the game by sending the object fast and low to the back of the opponent's court, making it difficult for him or her to react to it. This allows red to attack green's weak return shots in the attacking zone. In team games, cooperation and teamwork comes into play. We teach the team to work together to set up for an attack. This is achieved by sending the object high to your teammate in the front court for him to attack near the net. The conditions placed within this game are only one pass allowed except on service and all underarm throws unless the ball is caught above the head in the attacking zones.
Ready?
The green team is more successful in their attack as they send the ball high and near the net for her teammate to launch an attack. This game concept is applicable to team games with more than 2 players, for example, volleyball and sepak takraw. In short, we teach our students to be in control of the speed and direction of the object that they will be sending to their opponents. After learning how to attack in games, it is time to learn how to defend against these attacks. In this segment, we will be touching on 2 defensive games concepts: moving to the relative center of the court after returning the object, and moving to the relative center of the court when teammate moves to return the object in team games. In any defensive moves, it is crucial for players to return or recover to the relative center of the court. This is because in doing so, players will be in a position to cover all aspects of the court for the next shot. To teach this game concept, we demarcate 2 points in the center of courts respectively. The conditions are that the students are only allowed underarm throws and they must try to move back to the demarcated points before receiving the next ball. In these scenarios, red is always moving back to his center position after returning the ball to green, whereas green stays and waits for the ball. We can see that red is able to cover most part of the court. For games like mini tennis and pickleball, we can teach our students that the center position will be nearer to the back of the court to make allowance for the bounce of the ball. After students have learned the need to return to the center of the court, we can then teach them to apply this game's concept in team games. However, it is tricky to identify the center of the court in team games. So we must teach students the concept of relative center, which is center position in relation to where the other teammates are standing on the court. For a start, we can teach this game concept using a 2 versus 2 game situation. In such a situation, the relative center will be the center of the remaining open space when the teammate moves to return the object. B1 moves to receive the ball. B2 then moves to the relative center of the remaining space not covered by B1. We can see how each player moves on court in relation to the new position taken by their teammate. Take note that this relative center is an estimated center position of the remaining court. So remember, always be in a central position. Be alert and agile for the return from the opponent. The last question we will be addressing is, and one answer would be, That's right. Remember the game's concept for creating space for attack? If the opponent sends an object to open space away from you, you could defend by returning the object to open space away from the opponent. With prior knowledge on the concepts of creating space for attack, Both players are able to return every shot to the open space away from their opponent, rather than straight back to the opponent. In short, defending against an attack is all about being aware of the position of the opponent in the opposing court and returning the object to an open space away from him or her. Just as this chate has been modified from this to enable our students to enjoy the games better, we can modify games to better bring out the games concepts mentioned earlier. We can add or modify the height of the net, playing area, and or even rules and conditions of play. To add more excitement to the game, a scoring system can also be introduced, or even more players. What I have shared with you in this program are the various games concepts common to the games in the Netwall Games category, and how these games can be modified to better meet our students' needs and abilities. And from the example of Chate, we can see that games can be modified and invented by setting our own rules and boundaries. In so doing, our students can be more actively involved in small-sided modified games during PE lessons. We hope that you will enjoy teaching these games concepts to your students during PE, just like I did. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.